Welcome to the Farming Your Career podcast with host Dr. Aaron L. Albert, where we explore a variety of healthcare and pharmacy-related topics, including career development, healthcare IT, informatics, innovation, entrepreneurship, STEM, women's issues, and more. Farming Your Career podcast is part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, and Aaron has had the #1 most downloaded episodes of 2016 and 2017 of the entire Pharmacy Podcast Network. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aaron L. Albert.
This episode is brought to you by my new book, Single Women Entrepreneurs, 5 Years Later. It's available now over at Amazon Kindle. Just go to Amazon.com and type in Single Women Entrepreneurs. Or you can head to my website and pre-order a hard copy of the book at aaronalbert.com. Click on store. A couple of caveats for today's episode. Number one, I am paid as an affiliate for some of the links that will show up in the show notes, just as an FYI. Secondly, although I'm giving advice here, I am not giving legal advice, so consult an attorney in your jurisdiction if you have specific legal issues. Now, let's get to it and talk more about a side hustle and how it might fit with your career development. Hey, Pharmacy Podcast listeners, it's Aaron Albert, and just getting back from South by Southwest, where I served as a healthcare mentor. And first of all, shout out to all the mentees, and I use air quotes when I say mentees because I learned just as much from them, if not more from them, than they learned from me. So I really appreciated that. But secondarily, I wanted to put together a special episode on the #1 question that I received as a mentor at South by with other healthcare professionals, which is this: how can I do other things on the side, aka the side hustle, in addition to being a professional pharmacist, physician, etc.? So that had to be far and away the #1 question that I received during the mentoring session. So I wanted to address either some ideas that I've personally used on the side for my own side hustles, or things that I've read about, heard about, or witnessed through my own network. So let's get started on this, because I think this is a really important aspect. Some statistics, in a year and a half, by 2020, they're saying 40% of our workforce in the US is going to be freelance. So I think that's the why behind this episode as well. We can't rely on the traditional 9 to 5, 40-hour work week day job. And we've already talked about this on some of the episodes that I've done in the past. You can go back and listen to Jacob Morgan and the Future of Work back in January of 2017. We talked to Dory Clark, Entrepreneurial You author, about how the side hustle is a key component to the freelance economy. We've also talked to other professionals that are doing things on the side or doing them full time, kind of tangentially to pharmacy. So I wanted to just go through another quick list of ideas on the podcast today for you. Maybe some of them will work, maybe most of them won't work. But I think it's really important at the end of the day to ensure that you have multiple streams of income, a la, Robert G. Allen and his title book by the same name. Dan Pink also wrote a book on having multiple streams of income. But I think this coming sea change of the freelance economy, in that the way that we're changing our work habits in this country is coming, whether or not we choose to pay attention to it. So let's insulate ourselves a little bit. Think about this kind of laundry list that I put together. And again, all these may not work for you, but if one of them works for you, I'm tickled pink. All right, let's get into it. The first way that you can create a side hustle for yourself as a pharmacist or as a healthcare professional is by writing. This is one of my favorites. I love being home in my bunny slippers with my MacBook Pro on my lap, maybe my cat's nearby, because I'm a crazy cat lady. But I love to write. And, being an avid reader as well, I think feeds my soul into being a writer in addition. So How am I making income streams off of writing? Well, it's really tough to be a millionaire from being a writer unless you're J.K. Rowling, as I've said before here on the podcast. But there are different ways that you can create multiple streams of income off of writing. The first way that may not come first to mind for you is through digital social media management. And I've done this for several nonprofit brands. Went to Mayo Clinic's social media residency a couple of years ago to learn how to kind of be a digital and social media guru, so to speak. And this is definitely a way that you have to share your writing skills, but you do it in kind of shorter bits or in visual bits based upon which platform you're working in. And it's a great way to get paid to be a communicator. Other ways are a little more traditional, like blogging or writing a newsletter or writing articles for a major publication, or even your local pharmacist association. You can reach out to them, see if they have a call out for articles. I guess big kahuna here is, writing a book or an ebook. And there's all kinds of other articles out there and books on this topic on how to make money. Actually, here in the near future, we will have an episode on farming your career around self-publishing and a school that I went to online called the Self-Publishing School. It's a great resource to learn about how to literally self-publish. So the books and ebooks are a great way to not only create a little more income for yourself, but also get your name and your brand out there as a professional. So it's kind of a win-win. So you build social capital and clout, and you also can build financial capital and clout. Now, my last little super secret trick just for you, dear listeners of this podcast, is my favorite little site to sell my writing wares. And are you ready? Grab a pen if you're not driving or you're not on the treadmill and write this site down. It's called Payhip, Payhip. The thing I love about this site, it is super easy to use. You can set up a site of your own very quickly and easily. And how it works is you upload PDFs or digital files that you can sell. So you don't have to go to the extremes of selling a book. You can just sell something that's shorter, but that's super informational and super helpful. So let me give you an example of a product that I have for sale on my own Payhip site. I put together a list of different pharmacy certifications. We've already talked about that here several times on the podcast. There's now over 200 different healthcare certifications that professionals can earn. And so I put all those together in just an Excel spreadsheet and decided to sell that to people who want to buy it. So I just upload that sheet, it's actually a Google sheet, not an Excel sheet. I upload it, turn it into a PDF, and then put it on the Payhip site, and people can buy it for a nominal fee. And it's there on demand. The other great thing about Payhip is you don't have to do the order fulfillment on the back end. As soon as somebody pays on the site for the article or the PDF that they want, it instantly is downloadable, which is kind of it's the holy grail of online, streams of income because it takes such little effort. And so I love Payhip. Go check it out. I can't say enough great things about it. Okay, so writing is definitely a way that you can make some nice income on the side. My second kind of general bucket is to become an entrepreneur overall. Now, I kind of became an accidental entrepreneur on my own, but if you want to protect those assets, that side gig that you're doing, in putting it into an organization rather than having a quote-unquote sole proprietorship, it might be a great idea to just start a business as an entrepreneur. Now, every state is different on which business forms that they have available, and I won't even go on the comment about outside the US, but there are advantages to setting up a business because it creates a separate entity. So if you have a lawyer buddy, take them out to dinner and talk to them about possibly setting up a business as an entrepreneur. You can start a business as an entrepreneur on the side in addition to your day job. Now, your first consideration should be looking at your day job's rules on moonlighting, on extracurricular stuff outside of the day job. It depends on who you work for and what their policies are on what you can and can't do in becoming an entrepreneur. So that's where you want to look first. The second thing you want to do is talk to a lawyer about a structure for your organization. And then think about, how much time you realistically have to dedicate to whatever it is that this thing that you want to do on the side as an entrepreneur. For me, that's a lot of these different things, but for you, that might mean something completely different, like starting a business that has nothing to do with pharmacy. And that's completely fine too. But if you need some inspiration, my favorite on that is twofold. Of course, Dory Clark, we had on the show, she wrote a great book called Entrepreneurial You. I would encourage you to read that. Go back to that episode. The other option is Adam Grant's book, Originals. He talked about the Warby Parker guys, the glasses, they're super cool and hip. They take out the middleman, and the company just got another, I think, $250 million in funding, which is phenomenal. But these guys started Warby Parker on the side, and it was really started as a social enterprise as well. So think about becoming an entrepreneur. Most pharmacists back in the day, a couple hundred years ago, were entrepreneurs because they went home and ran their own mom and pop drugstore. We've kind of gotten away from that. So I think we have a strong argument and case for getting back to our entrepreneurial roots. Another way that you can make money is through speaking. And there's all kinds of podcasts and resources out there on how much you can charge for your speaking in terms of an honoraria, and I don't want to get into that here because that's a whole art form in and of itself. But suffice it to say that there's a lot of people out there that would love to have the knowledge in your head as a pharmacist or as a healthcare professional. So consider speaking. If you love public speaking, if it's your jam, why not get paid for it? So look into that as an option as well. The next idea I have for you as a side hustle is merch, as the kids say, or merchandise. You can sell wares online. So that can be everything or anything from Teespring, T-E-E Spring, which is a custom t-shirt site where you can design your own t-shirts and sell them. It could be selling old or used stuff too. And I'll have that later, some sites on recycling, which is a kind of another idea along the lines of creating another stream of income. But maybe you're into some type of merchandise, like you want to create a custom whatever. For me right now, with my STEM Princess series, I've been entrenched in trying to find a doll manufacturer. So if you go over to my Instagram site, you'll see that I've got some doll prototypes up. I'm actually selling those prototypes as well. So merchandise is something I never thought I'd be doing out of pharmacy school, but it's a lot of fun. It's super interesting, and it's a great way to make money kind of on the side as well. Another way that you can make money as a pharmacist is through coaching, and I mean primarily healthcare coaching or wellness coaching, but you could also do professional coaching on career development like I do as well. So there's all kinds of ways that you can be a coach, because at the end of the day, most pharmacists really are educators and coaches, if you think about it, right? If they're talking to their patients, they're trying to motivate them to get them to change behaviors and or live better lives. and or have better lives at the end of the day. So what or how can you translate that into becoming a coach on the side? Now, there's a lot of motion right now in medication therapy management, trying to get cognitive services reimbursed. So now is the time to really kind of step up if MTM is your passion and learn more about that. There's lots of resources out there on MTM. APHA is ongoing as I record this, and I know they're talking a lot about it as well. So follow that camp and find out, how you could do that possibly on the side. The next way to have a high side hustle or to create multiple streams of income is through investing. And there's lots of gurus out there about investments and investing. One of my favorites here locally, I've had him on the show, is Pete the Planner. Love Pete. Hey, Pete. If you haven't listened to his episodes, you might want to go back and check those out. But investing is something that you can definitely do on the side that will create another stream of income if you do it right. My favorite app with that right now is an app called Robinhood, and I'm still working through using it to the full extent that I'd like to use it, but check that out. But I think it's really important for you to consider becoming an investor and a steward of your income. And so whatever way that works for you. I also love Kiplinger's magazine too, so check that out. So back to another idea that I kind of touched on already is a stream of income, is teaching. You can be a teacher. You can be offline or live, or you can be online and have courses. So right now, one of the things or goals that I had for myself in 2018 was to start online courses. And as I record this, I'm still in the first quarter of the year, and I've already launched 4 different courses online. So I've got the 57 Cool Jobs for Pharmacists course. I've got certifications for pharmacists. I've got the MSL Career Primer. And then the 4th course I have is for Indiana State Pharmacy Law preparation for MPJE. So I already had all this content. It was just a matter of finding a platform online and then putting the curriculum together for each of the courses and then putting it up online and having it available. And so it's pretty easy to do. As a former educator, a learning management system, if you've seen one, yes, you've seen one, but they all have the same basic principles associated with them. And the platform that I chose has a lot of different ways and means that you can embed different types of content, be it video, audio, PDFs, links to, like a Google Sheet, for example. So with the certifications for pharmacists, as an example, that's more of a real-time subscription service that I offer. You pay like $15 a year and you have access to the certifications for pharmacists list, but you have it real time. So anytime I make an update to that list, you have access to it instantly. Whereas with the PayHip site, I charge a lower amount there, but I don't update it as often. So you've got different ways that you can sell your wares and your teachings online now. It's been the best time in history ever to sell through different modalities, and the platforms that you can use to teach are really robust and pretty easy to use now. So that's definitely a way, if you're a natural teacher, to kind of get your wares out there in a different way. The next idea I have for a side hustle, and many pharmacists do this, although they don't really think of it when you're conversing with them, it's not top of mind with them, but it's being invested in real estate. So you can do everything from buying and flipping houses, rehabbing them and selling them. You can have Airbnb properties where you're either living at your primary residence and or you're just renting a property that you used to live in, or you can have rentals. Now, I know quite a few professors will live around campus and then they'll move on to a different property. They'll keep their first property and then rent it to a built-in audience in college students, which I think is super brilliant. So, good idea. More passive income, although you are somewhat active as a landlord. You have to, upkeep the property. So that can be a bit of a challenge. But nonetheless, it's a great way to make some side income. Now, my next idea for side hustles are just working in different areas of healthcare that you don't necessarily do in your day job. So, for example, if you worked in the pharmaceutical industry by day, is there a way that you can work part-time in community practice pharmacy, once a week? Now, again, I'd have to refer you back to your day job or your primary job's policies on whether or not you can moonlight and or work in other settings as a pharmacist. Some companies will let you do that, some won't. And of course, as well, you have to consider liability and having a strong professional liability policy too, if you're outside of your day job and you want to work on the side. So those considerations aside, if you got green lights, like you can work in a different setting, maybe you can make a little more income by doing that once a week or once a month. So something else to consider. Another idea, surveys, brand names for drugs and consulting there, and or secret shoppers. I kind of bucketed all those in one area, but you can get paid to take surveys. There are companies out there that want your feedback on brand names of drugs when naming new drugs. So you can get on those lists and sometimes get paid, $10 or $20 to fill out a survey. You could be a secret shopper. If you love to shop, you can sign up to do that and get paid to do that as well. Although, I don't know how much longer the secret shopper concept will be around with retail brick and mortar stores closing left and right. So that's an interesting consideration. Another side hustle, and this isn't necessarily one that's going to pay you in dollars and cents overnight, but it's a great way to start building either your social capital and or learn a skill that you don't have in your day job that you want to get work involved in, or you want to enhance on your own via your own skills, is helping out a nonprofit part-time. So in the past, I've done social media and digital media for nonprofits. I didn't get paid directly via dollars and cents necessarily to do those things. But of course, I learned a unique skill set in what works and what doesn't work in social media, and then I can employ that across other places and other brands when I'm doing social media. Another way you can help out is maybe start a podcast for a nonprofit. And then down the road, once you've polished your skill sets, you can turn it into a profitable enterprise as well. So I like the idea of helping out a nonprofit and not necessarily getting paid to do it, but you are getting paid in the sense that you're learning a new skill set that you can translate later on to dollars and cents. And I've done that several times. Again, social media being a big example. So I think there's tremendous opportunity there. You can drive as an Uber or Lyft driver. Although I think, there's been some controversies with the shared driver model and the companies around it. I think at the end of the day, it's not going away until we have autonomous vehicles, and we're not there yet. So still opportunity there to be an Uber or Lyft driver. Contract pharmacy gigs is another way that you can make money on the side. So I've noticed that on some of the job boards, Indeed, LinkedIn, they will put that there are contract temporary jobs available for pharmacists for maybe 8 to 10 weeks. Maybe they're during the day, maybe they're not, maybe they're a little more flexible. But if you need a burst and taper, so to speak, of income in a different stream, you might want to go back and check the job boards, because there's more of these contract, kind of local burst and taper, I call them, ideas around part-time work and contract work as a pharmacist. All right, back to merch. Again, as the kids say, recycling, I think, is a great way to make some extra income on the side. And it's great to kind of purge. This is spring and everybody loves to do a little spring cleaning. So sites like Let Go, Declutter, Book Scouter, Raise, and of course the classics of Etsy and eBay are great places where you can set up a little shop and sell your wares on the side. Now, I happen to be an antique junkie. I have quite a few collections of antiques that I probably shouldn't have anymore, that are sitting in my basement, that I should definitely get out and start kind of pounding the pavement and selling. I think that would make another phenomenal kind of side hustle if you're into something in particular, or you just want to get purged. It's either way, it's a great way to kind of make a little money on the side and kind of clean up. Other part-time work completely outside of pharmacy. Again, if you want to learn a new skill in a different arena than pharmacy, I think you can get a part-time job in pretty much any arena that you wanted to, as long as the hours didn't interfere with your day job. You could learn new skills, you could get out of your pharmacy box, so to speak, and get around a different profession altogether. And at the end of the day, all of these side hustles, be it services, products we already talked about, but if you have other services, maybe you're really into graphic design, maybe you do watercolors, maybe you do portraits, maybe you're a photographer, any of those services, you can, sign up to be a consultant on 99 Designs, Fiverr, LinkedIn, and my new favorite that I discovered at South by Southwest is Wethos. And Wethos is a kind of 99 Designs, but they work with nonprofits for the most part. So any of these sites, you could sign up to be a consultant or to have or sell your services. And you can compete with others out there to try to win business over time. So again, it's kind of on-demand, ad hoc ways to peddle your wares without, going full bore as an entrepreneur and testing the waters to see what works and what doesn't work. So I think I've given you close to 20 different ideas for a side hustle. I've tried many of these myself. I'm still doing some of them myself. I love trying. It's a little bit like you have to experiment, right? Like you're in the lab and you're not really sure what it is that you're refluxing. But I hope this helps. And like I said, at South by Southwest, to a lot of the mentees, and again, I use that term very loosely because I learned a lot from them too. But I think it's the era of experimentation with your own career. Now, of course, you don't want to lose your day job if that's your meat and potatoes. But I think we have so many assets and tips and tools at our fingertips with the era of the internet. We can reach out to anybody on the planet at any time. Now is the time more than any other time to start exploring what else you could do to add on to enrich your pharmacy career. My name is Erin Albert. I hope you found this show helpful, and in show notes, I'll try to link up everything that I've mentioned relative to this particular podcast. Love to hear from you as well. And last but not least, if you found any of my episodes or any of the Pharmacy Podcast episodes worthwhile of your time and you've learned something from it, please go over to iTunes and give us a rating. It means a lot to us because a lot of us are doing this voluntarily. We are not getting paid, but we do it because we love all of you. Take care, and until next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Farming Your Career podcast, part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. If you have ideas or comments for Erin, be sure to contact her through Twitter. Follow her at Erin L. Albert. And remember to keep your career growing.